Yo, what's going on,
Uh,
guys? Jared here. Today I have Steve Gleason, who just got top four at the Unmatched Gaming Regional in PA. And he is going to tell you about his deck and what he played. And yeah, I'll have to give it to him.
all right. So, hi, yeah, I'm Steve. I got top four and I played Kashtira, and this deck is really cool and fun, and it's very standard at this point. Everyone only wants to see the 15 or so non-engine cards, so I'll just go through and I'll show you all the Kashtira monsters I played anyway. Uh, yeah, three Unicorn, three Fenrir, two Rise Heart. I know people are cutting this to one. I still think like for consistency, you need to draw like some two card combos when you don't draw the one cards. So like if you draw Rise Heart plus Theosis or Birth, that's everything. So you just want like a couple extra names. I do play the Ogre. Some people are cutting the Ogre in the prep, and I get it. I side it out a lot honestly when I'm going second into matchups that are like terrifying when you're going second. So like things like Trap Tricks can be scary when you're going second.
Mhm.
Um, and in the mirror sometimes. It depends on like how many cards I want to bring in. I don't know. So yeah, uh, consistency. You play your field spells, play the pots. Some people were playing desires. It's I don't know. I didn't play it. I haven't played it in the week leading up to this, so I didn't want to change my deck because I figured I would have to change all the ratios or whatever if I do that. So I'm going to test that this week and just see what it's like before I play in the next regional. Yep. So spells.
Hey, can you explain Three Planet? I'm really curious on why you played
Yeah.
that.
No, I know. I wonder how many planet you would actually play if you could play as many as you want. You know what I mean? Because yeah,
The
you'd
actual
probably
correct
play
number.
all six of them. Yeah. uh, three Theosis, yeah, and three Births. Some people cut this to two. That's stupid. This is the best card in the game, or in the deck and in the game. Actually, this card it's infinite playing forever.
Yeah.
I don't
And
know. It's so
I
good.
I've said I'm like pretty on the what's it called, on the ball of it being the like best card in that deck. Like after
Yeah,
like playing
by a
against it so
lot.
much, it's like the only card that like can let you play through so much. Like that card's two more summons. That's so dumb. Like
And it auto wins two matchups by itself. It auto wins two matchups against Runic. It can auto win, and against Branded, it can
yeah.
auto win just by having it face up. Just there it is. It's like
I hate it so much. I hate that
it's
card.
it's it's unbelievable. Yeah. Um, and the Big Bang and the prep. Yeah, and then the non-engine. These are the most important cards. Uh, Ash. I still play Nib. I know a lot of people are cutting it. Um, my overall like ideas on the whole format has been like the two best cards in the game are Nibiru and Evenly, and the format lives between those two cards.
Yes.
Um, so I feel like it's still important to have it in your deck because if it's not in your deck, like people will just say, "Oh well, everyone's playing around it," and because everyone's playing around it, I'm not gonna play around it,
It only
and
takes
I'm
one
just
guy.
gonna yeah. It only takes one guy to do that, and your tournament's over because he didn't want to play correctly, quote. You know what I mean? But like, yeah, so just play it anyway. And the coolest part about having this in your deck is when you prosperity and you reveal six and you just show them you have nib and
Mhm.
it's not in your hand. That's the best because
Yeah, it
for the
makes them
rest of
play
the game
smarter.
they're gonna be terrified. Yeah, they're like, oh, I could try and
It's
kill you, but I'll lose on the spot if you nib me.
it's always a
Yeah,
bad feeling when your opponent you know your opponent has combo and then you just hear them say out loud, "Well, if they have it, they have it," and then you just don't have it, and you're like,
yeah,
"Oh
right.
no,
But
oh
sometimes you need to have it.
no." Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you need to have it, and it worked out because like three times I resolved it, and people would always say, "Oh well, people are cutting nib." Like literally, the guy was like, "I can't believe you still play nib." I was like, "No, man."
It's for this exact scenario. Weird.
Yeah, like I play Mourner. Um, I think like with my non-engine theory, the idea is like effect negation because you want to be able to block people like from starting a lot of the time because the cashier deck can be like mildly inconsistent.
Mhm.
So like if you a lot of times like just negate the first thing and sometimes it'll just work and like over a long tournament like the percentages of that happening increase, not decrease.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then the other thing is I play Baron in my extra deck. Like having more level three tuners, I made like Baron was the most made card in my extra deck for some reason, which was bizarre to me because that never happened before this tournament.
It's a pretty good card to have.
Yeah, but I just kept making it.
I like
Um,
Mourner a lot better than Valor right now. I think
Yeah,
Valor is
well,
very
it's
bad.
important you can act. It's important you can activate it under your own Arise Heart, and it's also important. Like if they like, there was a case where they prepped back a Fenrir, and I had Mourner, so I was just like Mourner this, and I could play without you doing anything.
I feel like most decks have a
Uh,
way to do it in not main phase, like to get an effect off in not main phase. Like I don't know, like
yeah,
obviously I play Runic a lot, so like obviously I'm just never doing Kyugin in main phase like ever.
yeah. Well, does this one care about main phase? No.
No. I'm saying Valor.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
that's
for
why
Valor.
Valor's
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
that's why
yeah.
Valor's like it
Exactly.
feels unplayable at the moment, like completely
Yeah,
unplayable.
like, and this against Runic is really good. You just hit their guy, and it's like, oh man,
Yeah, you just can't
brutal,
play around
brutal.
it. You cannot play around
Yeah.
it.
And then yeah, same vein, Imperm. This is the better one. I like if this card was at more than three, I'd probably play nine of
Yeah, I agree.
it.
It's a really good card.
Still play Book. Honestly, this one was the one I was like most debating to cut, but I still wanted to play something like in my main deck for that was more like mirror directed because
Mhm.
I think like against everything else it's like not as good. But yeah.
I actually really like
Uh,
that Book of Moon, like the original.
yeah, yeah, I like it a lot too. I don't like Eclipse. I feel like it's a liability more than enough times, and
Yes, I've seen so many scenarios where people book of
yeah,
Eclipse. Either they have to use it defensively, and then they give them like three cards, or they have to like try to break a board, and then they have like another card
yeah,
to
and they're
stop them,
stuck.
and then they just lose on
Exactly.
the
Like
spot.
if it really feels like Eclipse, like when you're playing Eclipse, it's like you're pretending that they don't have any other cards
Yes,
other
yes,
than their engine. Like,
I agree.
yeah. Um, and this is the best mirror match card, Lance, and it's also the best into any trap deck, of course. Like, and you lose so many game ones. If you lose the Daro against trap tricks, you're just dead. So like, you need like I don't know. This starts to feel like the most unfair card when you're playing against trap decks, and in the mirror, it just starts to feel so unfair. So
Oh no, I
yeah,
agree.
I love this, and against Runic, of course, too. Like, just it's so good.
It's just really. Oh, I should have asked you this actually. Were you
Yeah.
doing so when you were going first? Were you just doing the? I'm assuming you just went straight for a Rise Heart. You were.
So it depends on my hand. A lot of the time, so if I have like, it depends on the non-engine that I draw, really.
Mhm.
If I draw like, only one or two non-engine cards and I have enough, what I've been doing actually is, and I'll just use my X deck, I guess, I've been doing this, just like this, without the fifth summon, and I'll keep the birth in my hand. So like, if you play the birth, so like imagine they nib there, right? You can play the birth and you can still make a rise heart and have something. Otherwise, you can go the lock three zones, and this will summon a Fenrir, and the Fenrir will set up the lock two, and you still put them on. You need to do something or you'll
Yeah.
die.
Okay.
Yeah. So like, and especially with this setup, I'll do this a lot if I have Nibiru,
Mhm.
or if I have Book of Moon, I'll do this. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because like, there's no in the mirror match. There's no if you draw Book, you're not afraid to activate this because they'll just go Guy, they'll go Arise Heart, they'll go Battle Phase. I'm like, okay, Book of Moon. You know, like,
Yeah, that was easy.
like, and you're still yeah, exactly. That was easy. Like, you look foolish. So
Yeah, I'm always trying to stay on the like the trends of how Kashtira because I feel like Kashtira is the deck everyone has to try to play to beat,
yes,
and
yeah, I
if
agree.
whatever the trend of the Kashtira deck is,
It kind of
that's
sets what everyone else has to do
yeah.
to beat it.
This is
Yeah.
actually something
So
different that I haven't seen a lot of people doing. Is the 3 zone lock?
yeah, it's kind of like a mid combo because you still hold a lot of follow up, but it's like that weird position where it's so much that they can't break you efficiently, where
Mhm.
they're going to end like they're going to break your board, and that's fine, but they're not going to have enough to make it so that you can't play it on your
Yeah.
next turn.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, or they need like two non-engine or something.
So you
So
you
yeah,
kind of play. It seems like you kind of play into everything a little bit, but you also play through
yeah,
everything at the same time.
that's like kind of the idea. Yeah,
Yeah.
as like I want to like this deck's about one for one trades, and this is still one card to get to this point usually.
Yeah.
So well, unless they hand trap you, but still, like, but if they hand trap you, I'm not going for this a lot of the time. Like if they hand trap me, like there was one situation where I got hand trapped on my unicorn, and I just went like. Or actually, it wasn't my unicorn. It was my Fenrir. It was like a weird position where I had like this,
Mhm.
and I was just like, okay, pass, and I just leave these up.
I mean, yeah, like they're still good, right? Like they're still like good
Yeah,
cards,
like
regardless.
it's still like it's like okay, pass. Like this is two big monsters you have to deal with, and I like with the amount of non-engine I drew, it was like still difficult for them to, yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think a
know,
lot of people feel pressured to like touch their
to
extra.
make something. Yeah,
Yeah,
like you don't have to. These monsters are gigantic, and they all have good effects.
yeah,
Like,
I agree. I agree. I think I always think that the strongest part about the Kashtira is just like the main deck monsters themselves being
yes, I agree.
are just
Yep,
obnoxious.
and so yeah, so that honestly very few times I want to rise hard pass.
Okay, that's
Um,
fair.
Yeah, most of the time I would go for like the kind of middle combo. And yeah, or most of the time I got hand trapped. It was either one or the other. So
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are on the hand trap plan now because it's a good way to, if you're playing against a riser pass, you can hand trap them and they'll end, inefficiently. Or if they're playing against a big combo, you'll hand trap them and they'll end, inefficiently.
Right.
So yeah,
Okay.
it's a way to play around both. For the extra deck, play the Donner. I played Omega. I played Gamma in the side deck. Played the Baron, the Garura, the Diablosis, Big Eye, Dracosac, two Zeus, Dark Armed Thing, Shangri-Ira, and three Arise Heart. Um, Honestly, I felt like I could cut this. I think with the amount of hand traps I was playing, it kind of was like,
You just didn't need that many, I guess.
yeah, I didn't need it because like when you're hand trapping them, they're not ripping your extra deck.
Did you ever miss
So,
like Goliath or anything like that, or was Garua just fine?
uh,
Or like Elder Entity or anything like that?
I never missed Goliath. No, I haven't been playing it honestly for the longest time. I really felt like I didn't need it. I really don't like cards like I would rather the card give me a tangible value than protection. I would rather they out this.
Mm.
Like I'd rather you pop it and I draw a card, or like I out it, you out it somehow, and
Yeah, because
I get value.
I can
Yeah,
understand that because I feel like that the deck can. It feels like the deck can play through almost anything for the most part if you have enough, gas, like it does so well into boards. As long as there's,
yeah,
besides like a Book of Moon. That's it.
right, yeah,
It's,
yeah. Well, there's some things, yeah, but
like it's not
yeah,
perfect,
I
but it
don't know.
definitely can push through like a normal like I don't know. I'll say like a Sprite board for instance is a good
Right, it's
example.
just by virtue of your monsters just being
Big,
they're so big,
just
they're
big
so big.
monsters. So if you just have more cards, that means more monsters that could be big, and then just punch over a board.
Exactly,
It's easy.
exactly. Yeah. So Sedek, I played Gamma. I think this is like very good, but also not great. I think like it's weird because the space issue is not great, and when a deck like where you're playing the one for one a lot, this is not. This is like a bigger liability than saying like a combo deck where you know like a bigger combo deck, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. You want more
Um,
reward for like the risk reward
for
stuff.
the individual card, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Where this deck kind of doesn't need like you're playing cards like Book of Moon, it's
yeah.
not.
Did you? What
But
was like the theory like behind Gamma?
uh, I wanted more effect negation going second. So like against like branded and in the mirror specifically branded too, because like I wanted more ways to block like a Luber, stop him from getting the lost, or like to hit the fusion that sends the gimmick puppet. Like this was like a better way to me of trying to block like expulsion and even in the mirror if you hit a unicorn and so if they birth it back, that's fine. Now they need to have birth and theosis to keep playing.
Yeah,
Like there's a lot of like you're putting them on a lot more when you remove the monster too.
right.
So yeah, for that reason, I
Just high
chose this one.
impact.
And
Yeah,
yeah, it's just I don't know. I only wanted it going second. I didn't want it in the main deck because when you have your own monsters, it sucks.
right. Yeah,
Um, Shifter. I was scared of like trap tricks and scared of expulsion, so I want more cards for that. So yeah, Shifter. I think this was kind of mandatory, honestly.
does that stop
Uh,
expulsion?
it makes it very hard. They need to have like they need their Aluber to add the expulsion directly because their fusion monsters won't get to it. So
Oh, I
like
see. I see. Okay.
it puts them on like way more combinations. So like that imparts with like all the extra effect negation, too. So if you draw
Yeah.
two of them, there's almost zero chance that they get it. So
Gotcha.
yeah. Two cosmic. I wanted more for Labyrinth and for Runic, and then with other spell trap removal, evenly. Format lives between this card and Nibiru, so if you're not playing them, I don't know. I feel like they're the two best cards, like the two best non-engine cards in the game.
Yeah, they can just
But only if
carry
your
by themselves.
only if your opponent plays into them.
Yeah, right. Like it's. I feel like their cards are really good in like the first 5 rounds. Like
Yeah,
they just get you through it.
exactly. And then you play a bunch of one for one. So after that, you can decide whether or not you're playing it, you're going to board in or not. But yeah,
Yeah,
and then for the going first trap to play Barry. Yeah,
he's pretty cookie cutter. I'm not gonna lie. Like
that was it.
it's kind of sad like where the way Kashtira is kind of like it's almost going into I feel like it's going almost into like an Ishizu tier type direction where like the deck building is getting very like I know that the small changes make big differences because like
Yeah,
it's like X card and X situation, but
it is. Yeah, I agree that like the main deck is mostly standardized at this point, but I do think like the mindset that you approach is like most important.
I
If
think
that
the
makes sense.
theory before an event is like probably where this deck is going to shine most of the time. Like
Yeah,
if you have a good hunch on what everyone else in the room is going to be doing, you are like already like two steps ahead with this deck because you just are your deck's already teched out for these scenarios that are going to happen to you.
yeah, and exactly. I think like this is the best deck for if you're able to like truly pay attention to like the meta trends
Mm-hmm.
and yeah.
I can 100%
Um,
agree with that.
it's not necessarily as powerful, I think, as some of the other decks in the format, like Branded, for instance. I think it's like stronger than this.
Definitely has a higher
But
ceiling, I think.
yeah,
Just
and
like
it's
I mean, like I just I can't see myself playing Branded just because I will always have a hand that will lose to Avid
they'll
Blossom
have
eventually,
Ash every time.
and then
Yeah,
they'll have it, and it's just like, all right, I didn't even have a chance to try, so whatever, fuck it, I guess,
that's
Like
why I like this deck too. Is like trading, ashes into these cards is fine. Look at them.
it
Here they
feels so
are.
good.
You
It
went
feels
-1.
so
Like,
good. I want to play a deck that uses them, but like just isn't Kashtira. Like I want them to be like an engine that does other stuff.
yeah. Oh, it's cool how they designed it though. It's like just enough that it blocks out you from interacting or like combining these with other strategies like efficiently. So
It's so much pressure, right? You summon one of
yeah,
them. If they negate it, okay, on their turn, it's also an interruption. Like let's say Fenrir specifically, right? Like
exactly.
it's a pseudo starter. They stop
Yeah.
it. They have to go. It's an interruption, and then they also have to deal with it because it's going to do the same thing that I just tried doing last turn.
I
Like
played against a Traptrix guy and this took all their Saras. So like
yeah,
over time it's like even this one, like you start to lose all of your options to be able to like even beat over this. It's 25. Like if I take like against Traptrix, they would play like three guys that are over 20.
that's
You
true.
just
That
take
is
them
very
all.
true. If it's already on the field, it doesn't even matter.
It's very funny.
I will
Uh,
say a lot of people that I've played in events. I don't know if you had this experience too. Like they'll
mhm,
like let's say they like Ash Blossom, like the Kashtira unicorn. A lot of people
sure.
like forget to use the other effect to
Oh,
to rip extra. I don't know if you've noticed that, but there was like two Cash players I played that like just forgot to kept using Kashtira's like
oh
effect.
no, that's so bad. I don't know. It's so important. You need to
Yeah,
know what
yeah,
they're
yeah,
playing. You need
yeah.
to take their Guardian Chimera if they're playing something like there's such an important hit in each matchup. I
Mhm.
don't know.
Yeah, and like every deck can't be built perfectly around these scenarios too,
Right.
right?
Like in my deck, it's Big Eye. Everyone took Big Eye against me, and I'm like, oh, that's fine. Honestly, it's okay.
Yeah, it's not
You
that
just
big of
play
a
without
deal.
it.
Hmm.
Like against Branded, you have to take the Chimera. It's so important actually
Hmm.
to make sure that you take it because that's a lot of the times that's their only way to out like multiple monsters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's also reasonable if you go first and they let's say you resolve your unicorn, and then you can't do anything else, but you still have like non-engine. They kind of have to play into it to an extent, right? And then
Right.
so
Yeah.
you can actually when you resolve that first effect that you can go for something that they play two of that they're trying to purposely not get targeted by unicorn, but they kind of have
Yep.
to play
And
into it.
make sure that it's gone. Yeah. Like the Albion, you can set up that you do that.
You
Yeah.
can just rip both. Like it's crazy. It really is. It's wild.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else you want
So
to add with the deck, or
no, that's really it. Yeah. Shout out to all my friends who came with me to the event. Shout out to Prodigy Games in Lindenwold, always a good local. Uh, shout out to my wife, let me go, always being supportive.
gotta love
Yeah,
them. Gotta love them.
that's it.
Well,
Thank you.
congratulations again. Thank you for coming on and explaining. It's awesome. And yeah, I'll hopefully see you at the 250th, right?
Absolutely. I'll be in London though, but
Actually, you mean the other one. All right, that's fine.
yeah, yeah.
I'll win
I
LA.
won't
You
be in
win London.
LA.
It's cool. It's cool. You
Yeah,
win London.
perfect.
I win LA.
I love it. I hope it happens.
All right.